So again, thank you for being here. Appreciate you all. It's a cold day here, as I mentioned, the land that I am on, but it's in the Boston area. I know we're all in different time zones potentially, but I'm in Boston, Massachusetts, or around Boston, Massachusetts, and we're starting to get the beginnings of winter. So, got my little space heater here. So in your own time, you're welcome to find your way to your space that you're practicing in. Aware that some of you may be deciding to be on a raised surface like a chair or a couch. Also, I see something in the chat here. I will, oh good, hi from Boston too. I will, once I'm kind of in this process, I won't be monitoring the chat, but I will at the end, and certainly welcome your comments and feedback around the practice. So again, arriving on your mat or your space, a chair or seated on the ground, you might be seated on a cushion or a folded blanket. I'm sitting here cross-legged, but you might be deciding to sit in a different way that works for your body, with your legs extended or back on your heels. Maybe taking a moment to acknowledge that you have arrived and that you're here, and that this next hour or 45 minutes is time and space where you're welcome to meet your body however it might be showing up in this particular moment. And that could be different for each one of us, depending on what we're carrying in and around our body, anything we're feeling. So you might make different choices from what I offer, and knowing there's a lot of spaciousness and freedom to do that. So as we arrive and acknowledge that we're here, you're welcome to begin to turn your awareness to your body. And one way to do that could be through movement. So you could begin by shifting maybe your spine from side to side. You might pause on one side or the other, or maybe you're exploring continuous movement. You're welcome to also shift forward and back as well. You could shift forward and back. Possibly the movement becomes circular as well. So that's another possibility. You might be moving in a circular shape. You're welcome to move in both directions as well. A possibility here to stay with movement. Or at some point you could walk yourself out in front. So that could be leaning forward or rounding your spine. And again, acknowledging you might be deciding to have your legs in a different shape, or if you're in a chair, you might decide to put your forearms on the tops of your legs. However you decide, the possibility to notice that you're breathing. You might be breathing through your nose or your mouth, but you're welcome to notice. And maybe pausing here for 3. Again, in movement or stillness. So any one of these shapes or forms, you're always welcome to explore movement or stillness. Movement could be that you're rotating your head from side to side. There may be another way you'd like to move. And 2. And 1, you're welcome to find your way back to center, with a possibility from here to shift into head or neck movements. You might move your chin from side to side as one possibility. You could also check in on the muscles of your face or your jaw. You could wiggle those or scrunch and release them. And again, maybe staying with side to side movement, or at some point you might lift and lower with your chin. Your movements could be smaller or wider in range. And then whenever you're ready, a possibility to drop your chin and shift into head circles. That might be a half circle. You might choose a full head circle or anywhere in between. You're welcome to move in a way that serves your body in this particular moment, which could be entirely different than what I'm offering. Maybe reversing the direction if you're circling. And then whenever you're ready, you're welcome to find your way back to center, and a possibility to shift to one side. You might extend your arm up or alongside your ear. You could pause here. You might check out where you want to bring your gaze. It could be down toward your mat or to the side. And then a possibility here to do some circling. You could circle with your arm or maybe your wrist or both. Possibly circling in both directions. And then you're welcome to shift up and over to the other side. And this could be a side stretch, a straight spine, and again, maybe some circling here. You're welcome to circle with your arm, your wrist, or possibly both. Maybe moving in both directions. And then in your own time, you're welcome to find your way back to center, and a possibility that we walk ourselves forward maybe once more to lean or round with your spine. Again, you're welcome to embody movement or stillness, rotating your head or shifting your spine if movement is something that feels useful to you. Those are two options. And then you're welcome to walk your way back to center. A possibility from here that we shift. So we could explore some spinal movements. Again, if you're seated, you can do these seated back on your heels. If you're seated in a raised surface, you're welcome to sort of scooch forward on your chair. Or you could bring your palms to your mat as well. Either way, whatever shape you're in, you might begin to lengthen and lift your gaze. Could slide your shoulders away from your ears, and then at some point, a possibility to round your spine. So these could be two separate, distinct forms. One with that kind of lengthening, one with a rounding, or you're welcome to link them together as continuous movement. Sometimes as we're moving, we may want to pause somewhere along the way. Maybe there's a feeling or sensation somewhere in your spine that you'd like to stay with. You're always welcome to do that as well. Continuing here and just layering in, maybe one more choice could be to link your breath to your movement. So you might inhale in one direction and exhale in another. Possibly staying with that movement, or if you're interested, you could shift in a side to side movement. So maybe drawing in on one side and lengthening on the other. And again, this could also be another sort of movement that you link your breath to, but also honoring the possibility that paying attention to your breath in this moment may not feel available. Again, however you decide. You're welcome to continue here, or maybe at some point finding your way back towards center. So again, we could possibly make our way to center. If you'd like, you're welcome to extend one of your legs back behind you. So you could reach through your heel, possibly pausing here, maybe even shifting back and forth. If you're seated in a chair, you might be flexing and extending your foot out in front of you. And then at some point, a possibility to lift your leg. You may find it useful to draw in at your center. You could lift your leg. You might decide to add your arm, or you could keep your hand on your mat. Possibly noticing here if you're holding your breath, and an invitation to bring movement to your breathing. A bit lower on this side, with a possibility to do a few of those spinal movements between sides. So you might lengthen and round a few times. And then in your own time, extending your opposite leg. You're welcome to reach through your heel. You could shift forward and back. Again, in a chair, you might be flexing your foot and reaching your heel out in front of you. Maybe pausing here, or maybe again lifting your back leg. The possibility that you might also make different choices on different sides of your body based on what you're noticing. Extend your arm if you'd like. Maybe keep your hand on your mat. And if you're in seated, you might be lifting your leg and flexing your foot. You could bend your knee as you do that. Possibility that there's some sensation showing up in the center of your body. Or maybe you're noticing some sensation somewhere else. You're welcome to lower when you're ready. Maybe bringing your big toes toward one another, possibly having your knees at the edges of your mat or the center of your mat. You're welcome to round your spine. Lots of ways we could do that. Could be on your forearms. You might extend your arms out in front. Again, if you're on a raised surface, you could bring your forearms to the tops of your legs and round your spine. Wherever you are, it's an invitation to pause in your expression of a rounded spine. Maybe for 3. And 2. And 1. You're more than welcome to stay as you are, or you could rise back up, and a possibility to walk your hands out in front of your shoulders. You're welcome to curl your toes and maybe shift back into this kind of upside down V shape. So as we're here, you might be deciding to bend one knee or the other. You could shake your head from side to side. You're welcome to also explore the distance between your feet. Your feet could be at the edges of your mat or wider. Sometimes that can change the experience in the backs of our legs. You're welcome to hang out here or at some point, you could begin to walk your feet and hands toward one another. So a possibility to kind of walk your feet and hands toward one another. And that might mean that you round your spine. You could bring your forearms to the tops of your legs. You could interlace your hands and bend your knees. Or there may be other variations of the shape that you're aware of that you'd like to embody. And you're welcome to shake your head out front to back or side to side. And then after we've been possibly upside down for a little bit here, you're welcome to maybe move a little more slowly than usual as we begin to find our way towards standing. You could bring your hands to the tops of your legs. You could roll up in a way that works for your body. And then possibly we can kind of meet here in standing. So as we're sort of upright together for the first time in this practice, you're welcome to take a moment here. You could notice your feet on the ground. One way to do that could be visually. So you might bring your gaze to your feet on the ground. Another one could be through sensation. So you might notice the sensation of your feet on the ground. You could rock from side to side or front to back to possibly locate that sensation, allowing for the possibility that in this moment, you may not be noticing any feeling or sensation at all. And we could pause here, maybe softening the backs of your knees or lengthening your spine. You're welcome to embody stillness, or we could do a bit of movement. One way you might move could be to extend your arms overhead and then maybe lowering them back down. This is one way you might move. There might be others if you're choosing movement. And again, that opportunity to link your breath to your movement is always available. If you're interested in slowing your breath down, you could choose the movement you've linked your exhalation to. So maybe if your exhalation is on lowering your arms, you might slow your out breath and your movement at the same time if you're interested. Maybe for a few more rounds. Always welcome though to change or shift what you're doing at any point for any reason. And then in your own time, a possibility to take your feet so that they're a little further away from one another. So you could think about a leg length apart or some kind of distance that works for your body. And so possibly turning your toes on one side to the short end of your mat, you're welcome to bend into your knee. You could bring your arms to shoulder height or bend your elbows and flip your palms up. So maybe pausing here. Or you might decide that you'd like to add in some movement. One way you could move might be straightening your front leg and extending your arms, possibly bending into your knee and lowering your arms. You could choose just to move your arms or just your leg or both. And however you embody this shape, at some point, possibly bending into your knee and bringing your forearm to the top of your leg, you're welcome to come into this sort of side stretch. So that could be with your arm extended or alongside your ear. You might check out where you want to bring your gaze. Also bring your arm around to your lower back. Maybe pausing here and possibly using this as another opportunity to notice sensation. Noticing sensation can be just another way to kind of remind ourselves that we're present. You might be noticing feeling or sensation in the top of your leg. Maybe there's some along the side of your torso. Or maybe there's feeling somewhere else in your body. If you are noticing feeling, you might even notice that it changes as we possibly come back to center. You could straighten your front leg and take kind of a reverse shape. So that might be with your arm extended. It could be a straight spine, a side stretch, or a back bend. And then at some point, you're welcome to bring your feet so that they're parallel or kind of pointed in the same direction. You could stand upright, or you might begin to fold forward. So that could be a sort of halfway, maybe bringing your forearms to the tops of your legs or your hands to the tops of your legs. You might have a raised surface like a block or the seat of a chair. You could also bring your hands to your mat. Wherever you land, whatever kind of expression of the form you choose, you're welcome to pause. Movement you might explore here could be bending into one knee and then the other, sort of shifting from side to side. Could also be movement for your head or neck. Maybe pausing here for 3. And always knowing you can change or shift whenever you're ready. And 2. And 1. You're welcome to rise back up. A possibility to pause here. You might sort of rise at a halfway point if you're not already there, and then again in your own time, possibly making your way to upright. You got another opportunity where we're sort of upside down. You might notice the pace that works for you to come back to upright. And then from here, you're welcome to turn your toes out on the other side, maybe bending into your knee here. And again, always that invitation to do things differently on one side versus the other. And truly possibly embracing that, meeting your body in the present moment. You might have your arms at shoulder height or your elbows bent. Maybe pausing here or adding movement if you'd like. You can straighten your front leg and extend your arms, possibly bending into your knee and lowering your arms. Movement, stillness, possibly noticing your breath. Lots of different ways to engage with this practice. You're welcome to do that in a way that serves you in this moment. And then at some point, if you'd like, we could meet in this sort of side angle. So that could be, again, with your arm extended up or alongside your ear. You might reach your hand around to your lower back. And again, that possibility to notice sensation only if it serves you. You might notice sensation here in the back of your front leg and a hamstring. Possibly some sensation around your rib cage. If there's a twisting component here, sometimes that can be a dynamic of this shape. Inviting the possibility that in this moment, you may not be noticing feeling or sensation. You're welcome to find your way back to center. You could again take that sort of reverse shape. So that could be extending your arm or bringing it alongside your ear. And then you're welcome kind of cartwheel your hands to your mat. And you could step back again in that sort of upside down V shape. Or you might find you'd prefer to round your spine. And sometimes we may not be sure what we want to choose. You're always welcome to try a couple of the options and see what lands for you. Your rounded spine, you could slide a block or something under your forehead. Maybe you're stacking your hands, giving your head a place to rest. Wherever you are, maybe pausing here for a moment or two. And then whenever you're ready, you're welcome from here to find your way, possibly to seated. So we could do a few seated forward folds here, and then maybe shifting onto our backs. As you find your way into seated, you might find it useful to sit on a couple of blocks or a folded blanket or cushion. And maybe extending your legs out in front of you, you're welcome to bend one of your knees, possibly dropping it to the side. And again, here we could be in upright. You might also check out for yourself what you'd like to do with your extended leg. So your extended leg, your knee could be bent, could be straight. But at some point, you're welcome to walk your way forward. So that could be leaning or rounding forward. Maybe dropping your chin. And possibly pausing here. Maybe noticing that you're breathing. And then at some point, you're welcome to walk your way back to center. Excuse me, a possibility that we shift sides. So you could extend that leg and then maybe draw your opposite knee to your torso. You're welcome to drop your knee to the side. And again, I forgot to mention on the other side, but you might have a block under your knee also, or again, that sort of folded blanket. Possibility to stay in upright or again, begin to walk your way forward. You might make choices about what you're doing with your extended leg, possibly bending your knee as little or as much as you'd like. And again, maybe embodying movement here. Small movements, larger movements. One might be rotating your head from side to side. Maybe pausing in this shape for 3, and 2, and 1. And again, from here, we could do maybe one more seated forward fold. You're welcome to either extend both of your legs out in front of you. You could flex your feet. You might also choose to bring the soles of your feet together. Either one, we're kind of bringing our spine back to neutral. So if your legs are extended, you might check out if you want to bend your knees again, or if the soles of your feet are together. You're welcome to lean or round forward. And whatever expression or shape you choose. Maybe pausing for a few moments, always knowing that you can change or shift what you're doing at any point for any reason. And at some point, a possibility that we begin to shift toward our backs. I'm gonna grab some water for myself, but you're welcome to begin to find your way toward your back. And that could be that as you find your way there, you draw your knees into your torso along with you. You could pause at center or maybe rocking from side to side. Or you're welcome to circle your knees above your torso, possibly circling in both directions. And then at some point, you're welcome to bring the soles of your feet to your mat. Your feet could be at the center of your mat, the edges of your mat, or anywhere in between. You're welcome to drop your knees from side to side. So this could be continuous movement, or you might pause on one side or the other. And sometimes there may be a sensation that we notice that we'd like to stay with. You're always welcome to have that be a guide. As you drop your knees to one side, you might even find that you let your head roll over to your opposite shoulder. And then at some point, you're welcome to make your way back to center, possibly bringing the soles of your feet to your mat. You're welcome to take one of your ankles to your opposite knee. You could pause here. Again, if you do happen to be in seated, you can absolutely do this one in seated as well. Bringing your ankle to your knee or even to your shin. You're welcome to also take a hand to your knee. You could press your knee away from you, maybe pausing here, or like shifting a bit side to side. Or you might choose to interlace your hands back behind your opposite leg. Again, movement or stillness. A possibility to notice your breath, or you might even notice if you're holding your breath. And an invitation to bring movement to your breathing in this moment. You might get to hang out on this side for as long as you'd like, or at some point, maybe shifting to your other side. If you're welcome to bring both of your feet to your mat, you might even take a moment to invite your spine to settle. Excuse me. and then possibly shifting to your other side. So maybe bringing your opposite ankle to your knee. You could hang out here in stillness, or maybe press your knee away from you. Shifting side to side if that's interesting. Or maybe interlacing your hands back behind your opposite leg. Again, one side may feel different than the other, so you're welcome to respond to that and make different choices on different sides of your body or from moment to moment. Just another opportunity for us to practice meeting ourselves in the present moment. Again, movement, stillness. Hanging out in the shape for as long as you'd like. But when you're ready, you can bring your feet back to your mat. And again, possibly dropping your knees from side to side, or you might find you'd like to take a moment and bring your feet to the edges of your mat, turning your toes toward one another and maybe letting your knees rest on one another. And you could move your feet around. The intention here might be that you're not really efforting to hold your legs up, they're kind of holding each other up. Can be another way to reset our spine. So from here, you're welcome to begin to consider moving towards some kind of rest. And there may be other forms or shapes that you'd like to do, so you're welcome to do that. Possibly something that we didn't get to today or in this moment, or maybe there's some shape you want to revisit. Or if you're feeling ready, you could begin to find your way towards some kind of rest. So we can rest on our back, sides, your stomach, in any kind of shape, or in seated. An invitation to rest in a way that works for your body and is most likely different for each one of us, what that looks like. So a possibility as we begin to move toward rest, that you might take a moment to notice a place on your body that's connected to the ground or the surface beneath you. And maybe in that one particular place, could be the back of your arm, place on your shoulder or leg, a hand. But maybe in that one particular place, if you're noticing it connected to the ground beneath you, you begin to soften into the support beneath you or disengage your muscles, knowing that sometimes, even if part of us can be at ease or rest, that can have a powerful impact on all parts of us or the whole of us. You're welcome to take the next few moments without the sound of my voice to rest or to be at ease in any way that you're able to in this moment. And then slowly, as you're ready, you're welcome to begin to bring awareness back into the room if it drifted away at all. You might notice your breathing or bring movement to your fingers or toes. You could also at some point let your head roll from side to side. Or maybe stretch your legs out and stretch your arms overhead, possibly taking a breath in and letting it go. And you might decide that you'd like to stay in stillness or stay in rest. I'll talk us through kind of coming out of it, but you're welcome to tune out the sound of my voice and stay as you are. As you begin to move, if you're choosing that, you might shift into a shape that you'd like to close our practice with. It could be a rounded spine or a twist, or maybe it's in seated. Wherever you end up, maybe taking a moment to honor or acknowledge yourself for finding the space in your day and in your home to be here, for being present in any way that you are able to. It's an honor and a privilege to be here with you, to practice with you, and wishing you an easeful rest of your day or evening, and sending care. So thank you all for joining me and us for these practices. Some will be recorded and left on the website, but otherwise, take good care, and thanks again for being here. You're so welcome. Thank you all. You're welcome.